Every morning, the universe gives us a fresh page. Blank, sacred, full of infinite potential. But how we choose to write on that page will decide the story of our entire day. The truth is, the mind is not our enemy. It's our most loyal servant. But if we don't train it, it becomes our master. And an untamed mind is the reason we feel lost, distracted, and restless. In this world of endless noise, where distractions dominate our lives, mastering the mind has become more important than ever. Each morning is not just a time to wake up. It is an invitation from the divine, a sacred doorway to tap into stillness, strength, and clarity. The early hours are not just hours. They are blessings. They whisper, "Come, take charge before the world takes over you." Today, I want to walk with you 5 early morning keys that don't just help you master your mind, but also align your heart, your soul, and your life with something far greater. The ultimate purpose given to you by God. These aren't religious rituals. These are human truths, divine wisdom, simple yet transformative practices. There is something deeply powerful about the silence of the early morning. When the world is asleep and the streets are still, the air carries a kind of purity, untouched by the noise and rush fills the rest of the day. In those precious hours, you are gifted with a rare opportunity, a space where you can meet your truest self without interruption. Waking before the world isn't just about discipline or productivity. It's about reclaiming ownership over your own mind and spirit before the world begins demanding pieces of you. Imagine this: the alarm rings at 500 am. Outside, the sky is a deep blue, holding on to the last traces of night. Most people are still wrapped in dreams, lost in a world they don't control. But you sit up, stretch, and make a choice. To wake up not just from sleep, but to wake up to your own life. In that moment, you're no longer reacting to the world, you're preparing yourself to shape it. There's a reason why the sages, monks, and the spiritually wise across cultures have always emphasized rising early. It's because the early morning hours are when the distractions are at their lowest and the mind is at its most fertile. It's the time when clarity is easiest to access and when the connection with the divine feels most intimate. In those hours, when the sky is quiet and your phone hasn't yet begun to buzz, you hear your own thoughts more clearly. You begin to understand what your mind needs, what your heart longs for, and what your soul is trying to whisper. Let's take a simple example from daily life. Think of a garden. If you want to nourish it, you water it in the early morning. Not when the sun is scorching, not when there's noise and dust in the air, but in the gentle calm of dawn. Why? Because that's when the plants can best absorb the water. That's when the soil is most receptive. Our mind is the same. Early in the morning, before the world's opinions, worries, and demands flood in, your mind is soft like that morning soil, ready to absorb thoughts of peace, gratitude, clarity, and purpose. But if we wait until the world wakes us, through our phones, through pressure, through panic, we lose that fertile time. We let the day set our pace instead of us setting the pace of the day. Have you noticed how rushed we feel when we wake up late? We skip breakfast, skip self-reflection, and enter the day already behind. Our mind becomes reactive. Every little thing irritates us. We're stuck responding instead of creating. That's because we didn't begin the day by owning it. We began by chasing it. On the other hand, waking before the world gives you the quiet time to align with your higher self. It allows you to listen, not just to the chirping of birds or the rustle of the wind, but to the deeper voice within you. The voice that tells you what really matters. The voice that reminds you to be kind, to be patient, to be present. And when you enter the world after listening to that voice, you walk differently. You respond with wisdom. You handle chores with calm. You become the peaceful eye in the center of the storm. This is not about becoming someone else. It's about becoming who you already are. But without the noise, the distractions, and the rush that usually drowns your inner strength. You were born with clarity. You were created with purpose. And the early morning is the best time to remember that. There's a story of a man who, tired of being stressed and confused, went to a wise teacher and asked, "How do I find peace?" The teacher handed him a glass of muddy water and said, "Let it sit." After a while, the mud settled and the water became clear. The teacher smiled and said, "The mind is like this. When you stop stirring it with stress, with noise, with rush, it settles and becomes clear." The early morning is that still moment where your muddy thoughts settle and your clarity begins to shine through. In practical life, waking early can be your biggest advantage. It gives you time to plan, to pray, to reflect, to exercise, to breathe. While others are still rushing to wake up, you are already centered. You're already grounded. It's not about doing more. It's about being aware, more connected, more alive. And remember, it's not about perfection. There will be days when you oversleep, days when you don't feel like waking up early. That's okay. But if you build the habit gently, consistently, with love and patience, your life will begin to change. You'll notice more peace, more presence, and more purpose in every part of your day. The morning is a sacred gift, a divine invitation. Accept it. Wake before the world does. And you won't just master your morning. You'll begin to master your mind. And when you master your mind, you don't just survive the day. You rise above it. You own it. You lead it with strength, with silence, and with the kind of power that doesn't shout. It simply shines. The way we speak to ourselves first thing in the morning is far more powerful than we realize. Long before the world begins to speak to us, through social media, emails, expectations, and responsibilities, there is one voice that shapes our mood, confidence, and our day. That voice is our own. And sadly, most people wake up and immediately begin criticizing themselves. I'm not doing enough. I look tired. I'm already behind. Without realizing it, they poison the day before it even begins. But what if you changed that voice? What if your first words were kind, strong, gentle, and inspiring? The human mind is like a sponge, especially in the early hours. It absorbs whatever you feed it. If you begin your day with negative thoughts, doubt, or stress, that energy will follow you everywhere. You will carry it into your relationships, your work, your attitude, and even into your silence. But if you begin your day by speaking with compassion and purpose to yourself, something miraculous begins to happen. Your mind becomes your supporter, not your saboteur. Let's look at a simple daily example. Imagine you wake up late. You have an important meeting in 1 hour. Your instinct might be to panic and say, "I'm such a mess. Why can't I get anything right?" That single sentence, said quickly, maybe even unconsciously, starts building an emotional weight. That weight grows throughout the day. And by noon, you're not just tired physically, you're exhausted emotionally. Not because the day was hard, but because you attacked yourself when you needed encouragement the most. Now picture the same morning, but with a different voice. You wake up late. You take a deep breath and say, "It's okay. I needed the rest. I'll do my best with the time I have. Let me focus now." In just 1 minute, you shift your energy from panic to presence, from guilt to growth. That is the power of your inner voice. So many people seek motivation from the outside. They wait for someone to compliment them, to push them, to inspire them. But real transformation happens when that voice begins to come from within. When you wake up and say to yourself, I am capable, I am guided, I am enough, you become your own anchor. No storm outside can move you easily when your inner ground is solid. Think of how you would speak to someone you love, a younger sibling, a child, a close friend. If they felt anxious, behind, or lost, would you scold them first thing in the morning? Of course not. You would reassure them. You would say, it's okay. Today is a new chance. You've got this. Why then do we treat ourselves so differently? One of the greatest spiritual habits is to develop a loving, firm, and faithful inner voice. This is not arrogance. This is self-respect. It's recognizing that your thoughts are the seeds and your words are the water. What you plant and nurture in the morning will grow throughout the day. So why not plant strength? Why not water your spirit with kindness? There's a beautiful practice you can begin right now. The mirror talk. Every morning, stand in front of the mirror, look into your own eyes, and say a few powerful truths. Not empty praise, not fake affirmations, but sincere reminders. I am guided by a greater power. I may not have all the answers, but I am willing to grow. I am grateful for this life, and I will make it meaningful. At first, this may feel strange, but over time, your mind will begin to believe it. And when your mind believes it, your actions will reflect it. In spiritual traditions, the concept of mantra is deeply respected. A mantra is not just a word, it's a vibration. And the vibrations we create with our words affect our entire being. The way we speak to ourselves becomes the frequency we operate on. If you constantly tell yourself, I'm not good enough, that becomes your reality. But if your inner mantra is, I am growing, I am learning, I am supported by the divine, your energy shifts, your perspective expands, your confidence rises. We must remember that we are not just living bodies, we are living souls. And the soul responds not to force, but to love. Speak to your soul with dignity. Feed your mind not just with tasks, but with truths. Let the first sound you hear be your own words of courage, rather than the world's noise of comparison and pressure. One person who changed his life by changing his inner dialogue once said, I didn't need more time. I needed more belief in myself. And that belief came not from the outside, but from how he started speaking to himself every morning. So the next time you wake up, pause for a moment before you reach for your phone, before you run into the rush. Take a breath, place your hand on your heart, and speak. Speak to yourself like you are sacred, because you are. Speak to yourself like you are loved, because you are. Speak to yourself like today matters, because it does. The world will speak to you in 1,000 voices. But let the first voice be your own, and let it be filled with strength, gentleness, and unwavering faith. There is an invisible thread that connects our breath to our being, our breath to our emotions, and our breath to our ability to stay calm in the chaos. But we often forget this, especially in the race of everyday life. We wake up, we rush, we worry, and we react. In all of this, we breathe, but not consciously. We breathe, but without awareness. The breath becomes just another background process in the machine of the day. Yet, when we pause, when we return to our breath, when we allow it to become intentional, something profound happens. The noise within us begins to soften, the storms inside us begin to settle, and the fog in our mind starts to lift. In the early morning hours, when the world is still, when everything around is wrapped in calm, we get a beautiful opportunity to connect with the one thing that never leaves us, our breath. Just a few moments of conscious breathing can unlock levels of peace and focus we often spend entire days trying to chase. And the beauty is, it doesn't cost anything. You don't need a special place or a perfect posture. All you need is presence, a quiet willingness to turn inward, to sit still, to let the breath guide you home. Think of your mind like a wild horse. If it's not trained, it runs in every direction. It reacts to every sound, every thought, every dot, and every fear. But when you hold the reins gently, through the breath, that horse begins to calm down. It begins to trust. It begins to listen. That's what deep breathing does. It is the reins of awareness that tames the wild mind. In a world full of endless distractions, this practice becomes your power. Imagine a moment from daily life. You're stuck in traffic. You're already late. Your phone won't stop ringing. Your heart races. Your thoughts scatter. You're tempted to yell, to panic, to lose control. But then you remember the morning. You remember those 10 minutes you sat in stillness, breathing deeply, connecting with your inner calm. You remember how your breath slowed you down, centered you, and made you feel grounded. And right there in the middle of traffic, instead of reacting, you respond. You breathe in, you hold, you breathe out. And just like that, the traffic outside may not have changed, but the traffic inside you has. That is the real miracle. Science confirms what sages have known for centuries. Deep breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the body's natural way of calming itself. When we breathe deeply and mindfully, we signal to the brain that we are safe, that there is no danger, that we can relax. This simple act switches off stress and turns on clarity. It brings us back from the future, where anxiety lives, and from the past, where regret lingers, into the now, which is the only place where life actually happens. In spiritual teachings, breath is considered sacred. In many languages, the word for breath and the word for soul are the same. In Sanskrit, prana means life force. In Hebrew, kruch means spirit or breath. In Arabic, ruh. All of these cultures understood something modern society is only now beginning to rediscover. That the breath is not just oxygen. It is awareness. It is consciousness. It is the doorway to the divine within. There's a beautiful practice I encourage people to try every morning. Sit still for 5 minutes. Close your eyes and simply breathe. Inhale slowly for 4 seconds. Hold for 4. Exhale for 4. And feel. Feel your body begin to soften. Feel your thoughts begin to fade. Feel your presence begin to rise. You don't need to control anything. You're not trying to fix your life in that moment. You're just allowing yourself to be. And that, in itself, is healing. One man once shared his story after beginning this practice. He was a father, a manager, a husband, constantly juggling responsibilities. His mornings used to begin in stress, checking emails before even brushing his teeth. But after learning about the power of deep breathing, he started waking up 10 minutes earlier. He sat on his balcony, listened to the silence, and just breathed. Within a week, he felt the difference. He wasn't as reactive with his children. He was more patient in meetings. He felt lighter, even though his schedule hadn't changed. What changed was his state of mind. What changed was how he met each moment, from a place of grounded strength rather than anxious speed. And that's the beauty of this key. It doesn't demand a lifestyle overhaul. It doesn't ask you to give up anything. All it asks is this: to return to yourself each morning, to the natural rhythm of your breath, and to trust that within that rhythm lies a wisdom deeper than any book or podcast can offer. A wisdom that speaks without words, a peace that rises in silence, a power that requires no force. When you begin your day with intentional breathing, you are not escaping life, you are preparing for it. You are strengthening your foundation. You are declaring, not loudly, but with quiet confidence, that no matter what the day brings, you will meet it with calm, with clarity, and with a mind that has already tasted stillness. And once you've tasted that stillness, each hour no longer scares you, because you've found something stronger than chaos: your breath, your anchor, your sanctuary. Gratitude is one of the most transformative emotions a human being can experience. It is not just a polite thank you we say to others, it is a powerful mindset that opens the heart and clears the mind. And in the quiet moments of the morning, before the rush of the world floods in, gratitude has the strongest impact. Before you touch your phone, before you check your schedule or scroll through your messages, there is a golden opportunity to connect with the divine through a simple, sincere expression of thanks. The beauty of gratitude is that it doesn't require perfection in your life. You don't need to have everything figured out. You don't need to have wealth, success, or fame to be grateful. In fact, some of the most grateful people are those who have the least materially, but have the deepest connection to life itself. Gratitude is not about counting what's in your hand. It's about realizing the value of what you've already been given. Imagine a man waking up in a small home. He doesn't own luxury items, doesn't have a high-paying job, but every morning he opens his eyes, places his hand on his chest, and whispers, "Thank you for this breath. Thank you for this new day. Thank you for one more chance to do better." He may not have riches in the eyes of the world, but in that moment, he is wealthier than many, because he feels the richness of life in his heart. That feeling, that emotion, that deep sense of being blessed is the true reward of gratitude. In our daily lives, it's easy to fall into the trap of focusing on what's missing. We think about what we don't have, what we haven't achieved, what others are doing better. But gratitude flips the script. It shifts our focus from lack to abundance, from complaints to contentment. When you begin your day with gratitude, your entire perspective changes. Instead of saying, "I have to go to work," you say, "I get to go to work." Instead of saying, "I have so much to do," you say, "I'm thankful for the strength to do it." These small mental shifts have massive emotional results. Think about a person who begins their morning by listing just 3 things they're grateful for. It could be something as simple as the warmth of the sun through their window, the comfort of their bed, or the sound of birds chirping outside. That small practice creates a ripple effect. Suddenly, they're more patient with others, less reactive to stress, and more present in the little moments. They smile more, they complain less. Why? Because they started their day by tuning into abundance, not lack. There's a story of a woman who faced several personal losses. Her marriage ended, her job became unstable, and she struggled with health issues. Every day felt heavy, filled with anxiety and sadness. But a wise teacher told her to try something unusual. "Every morning," he said, "before you do anything else, write down 5 things you're grateful for." At first, she resisted. What could she possibly be thankful for in the middle of so much difficulty? But she decided to try. On the first day, she wrote 1. I can still walk. 2. I have a roof over my head. 3. Have clean water. 4. I have a friend who checks on me. 5. I have the ability to change. As days passed, this practice became her anchor. She began to see light in her life again, not because her problems disappeared, but because her heart was no longer focused only on the pain. Gratitude helped her rise from within. That's the secret. Gratitude doesn't erase challenges. It empowers you to face them with grace. It reminds you that no matter how dark the night, there's always some light to hold on to. And in the early morning, when everything is still and quiet, that light feels even brighter. It becomes a spiritual connection. It's no longer just about being thankful for things. It becomes a thankfulness for being alive, for being aware, for being able to feel, breathe, and try again. Even from a spiritual lens, gratitude is deeply divine. It is a silent prayer that doesn't need words. When you begin your day by saying, "Thank you" to the Creator for your life, your lives, and your health, your family, your journey, you're not just expressing appreciation, you're acknowledging the presence of something higher guiding you. That kind of humility invites more blessings. A thankful heart is like fertile soil. The more you water it with gratitude, the more peace, wisdom, and contentment it grows. Some people start their day with worry, asking, "What if something goes wrong today?" But the person who starts with gratitude says, "Even if something goes wrong, I still have so much going right." That difference in mindset builds strength. It nurtures joy. It makes you mentally rich, regardless of external circumstances. And so, tomorrow morning, before your feet even touch the floor, try this. Place your hand on your heart, take a slow breath, and say 3 words. Thank you, God. Say it not out of habit, but with full awareness. Let that thank you be for your body, for your journey, for your mind, for your lessons, for your hopes. When you start your day that way, everything that follows feels lighter, more meaningful, more sacred. Gratitude is the seed. Life is the garden. Plant it in the morning, water it with sincerity, and watch how peace blossoms in your life, one breath, one thought, and one moment at a time. There are moments in life when everything seems to fall apart. Opportunities slip away, dreams shatter, relationships end, and we are left with just one question: why did this happen? Sometimes we knock on doors with all our faith, and yet those doors stay shut. But let me tell you something today: when God closes a door, it's not rejection, it's redirection. When life says no, it's often because something greater is waiting for us beyond our limited vision. God never closes a door to punish you. He closes it to protect you, to prepare you, and to position you. We may not see it now, but every closed door has divine fingerprints on it. Today, let's reflect, not on what we've lost, but on what we are about to gain when we learn to trust the one who sees the full picture of our lives. There are moments in life when rejection doesn't just sting. It feels like a personal attack from the universe itself. You prepare heart, your mind, and your effort for something you deeply desire. Maybe it's a job you prayed for, a relationship you nurtured, a dream you've carried for years, or a goal that consumed your thoughts, and just when everything seemed perfect, the door closes. In that very moment, your confidence crumbles, your hope fades, and your faith begins to shake. But what if I told you that this wasn't rejection? What if it was protection? Imagine a child reaching out to touch a flame because it glows beautifully. The child doesn't know it burns. The child doesn't realize the danger. But the mother, standing nearby, quickly pulls the child's hand away. The child cries, not understanding why the mother would deny such a beautiful thing. That's exactly how life works. Often, we chase things that glow, not knowing they could burn us. We want things that seem good from our perspective, but we lack the wisdom to see the consequences they carry. And in those moments, when the door shuts, when we are pulled back from something we so badly wanted, it's not because God wants to punish us. It's because He wants to protect us. Many times in life, we look back and feel thankful for the things that didn't work out. You may remember someone you were once deeply in love with, someone you thought was the one. You gave your all, you imagined a future together, but they walked away or things fell apart. At the time, it felt unbearable. You questioned everything. But today, with time and clarity, you see the truth of that relationship would have broken you. It didn't align with your values, your growth, or your peace. That door had to close, not to harm you, but to guide you towards something far better. Rejection often redirects us to something far greater than we could ever imagine. A young man once applied 10 companies and was rejected by all. He felt worthless, convinced he had no talent. But one day, out of desperation, he started working on a small idea from home. That idea grew into a startup. Today, he owns a company that those 10 firms now try to partner with. The rejections were not roadblocks, they were detours. Detours that led him to discover his potential. Sometimes when you are not accepted by the world, it's because you are meant to create your own space in it. When God closes a door, He isn't saying you're not good enough. He's saying you're meant for something different, something that aligns more deeply with your purpose. But we only understand this with time, reflection, and faith. Just like a seed buried under soil. It feels like darkness, like suffocation. But in truth, that burial is the beginning of blooming. Without the dark, there would be no growth. Without the rejection, there would be no redirection. Without the pain, there would be no progress. Think about a time when you narrowly escaped something. A delayed flight that kept you from a major accident. A missed opportunity that forced you to choose something else that later changed your life. These are not coincidences. These are divine interventions that go unnoticed. The universe works in silence, in moments that feel like defeat, but are truly protection in disguise. It's hard to understand in the moment. That's what makes rejection so painful. It's unclear. You don't have the full picture yet. But here's the true thing. You are not being punished. You are being protected. Maybe your energy was too valuable for that environment. Maybe your light was too bright for that relationship. Maybe your growth required a different soil. And so, God closed the door to save you from staying stuck where you didn't belong. And it doesn't stop there. Every time a door closes, something awakens in you. A new strength, a new vision, a new possibility. Rejection teaches resilience. It invites you to stop relying only on your plans and start trusting in a higher one. It shifts your focus from what was lost to what can now be found. And slowly, you learn not to beg for doors to open, but to trust the silence behind them. In this life, not everything you want is good for you, and not everything for you is easy to receive. But when you surrender, when you let go of what you thought should happen, and open yourself to what could happen, you allow something bigger to take control. That's not weakness, it's wisdom. And that wisdom will carry you through every locked door, every turned back, and every unanswered prayer. So the next time life says, no, don't shrink, don't despair. Look up, smile gently, and whisper to yourself, this door closed because something greater is on its way. Because when God closes a door, it's never the end of the story. It's the start of something better than you ever imagined. There's a reason we often hear the phrase, everything happens in its own time. It sounds simple, even cliche, but hidden within it is a profound truth that life consistently teaches. Use divine timing is never wrong. You see, we live in a world that moves fast. Everything around us screams, now. We want success now, love now, answers now. And when we don't get what we want instantly, we assume something's gone wrong. But what if the delay isn't denial? What if the silence isn't absence? What if the waiting period is actually the sacred space where God is preparing the perfect moment for your breakthrough? In nature, nothing blooms all year. The earth honors time and seasons. You don't see the tree crying in winter because it lost its leaves. It knows that spring will come. The tree doesn't panic, it doesn't complain. It trusts the rhythm of nature. Why, then, do we fear our winters? Why do we become restless in the pauses of life? Just like the tree, we too are governed by divine seasons, and every season has a purpose. The cold doesn't last forever, but it is needed. The waiting doesn't mean nothing is happening. In fact, it's when everything is quietly transforming behind the scenes. Think about the bamboo tree. When a bamboo seed is planted, it takes years, sometimes up to 5, to break through the soil. During this time, there's no visible growth above ground. People may even forget it was planted. But beneath the surface, it's building an extraordinary root system, deep and wide. And then, almost suddenly, in just a few weeks, it shoots up meters into the air. If someone didn't know better, they'd say it grew overnight. But in truth, it grew for years. You just couldn't see it. Isn't that how our lives work too? We put in effort, dedication, prayers, and hope, but nothing seems to be happening. We question ourselves, doubt the journey, and sometimes even lose faith. But just like the bamboo, your roots are being formed. Your character is being strengthened. Your patience is being tested. Your wisdom is being sharpened. The delay is not a punishment. It's preparation. If you were to receive what you wanted too soon, you might not be able to handle it. Timing isn't just about when you are ready to receive something, but also about when what you desire is ready to receive you. Take relationships, for example. You may feel ready for love, but the right person may still be healing. Or perhaps you both need to grow individually before you can grow together. If you meet too early, the connection might crumble under pressure. But when the timing aligns, the bond is stronger than steel. It's not that love wasn't meant for you. It's that it was being refined for the perfect moment. Or consider a job opportunity you missed. Maybe you didn't get that position you dreamed of. You were qualified, dedicated, and full of passion. But later you learn that the company faced a collapse or the role became redundant. At the time, it broke your heart. But now, with time and wisdom, you see clearly the door was closed because something better awaited. It was never no. It was not yet. Life often demands us to wait, and waiting is one of the hardest spiritual disciplines. Because in the waiting, we feel vulnerable. We question our worth. We look at others moving ahead and wonder why we're left behind. But here's the truth: when it's your time, no one can take what's meant for you. No amount of competition or delay can stop the blessings crafted for your soul. And until that time comes, your job is not to force doors open, it's to stay ready. That means keep working, keep growing, keep learning, keep serving. Waiting isn't passive. It's not about sitting with folded hands. It's about showing the universe that you trust the process. It's about preparing your heart for what's to come. Just like a mother prepares the nursery months before the baby arrives, Your spirit must prepare to receive what you've asked for. Because once it arrives, there will be no time to get ready. You must already be ready. And when it does come, when that dream unfolds, when that opportunity knocks, when that person enters your life, you'll understand why it took so long. You'll realize that had it come earlier, you wouldn't have appreciated the way you now do. Divine timing teaches you gratitude, maturity, and faith. It reminds you that the best things in life are never rushed. They arrive when your heart is aligned, when your mind is clear, and when your soul is steady. So next time you feel frustrated by delay, remember, the seed is not failing to grow. It's just growing in silence. The stars don't rush to shine, yet they never fail to light the sky. Your moment is coming, and when it arrives, you won't have to force it, chase it, or prove your worth. It will feel natural, effortless, divine. Because that's the power of perfect timing. Not your timing, but God's, and His is always right. There's a quiet power in understanding this simple truth. What is meant for you will never miss you. In a world that often tells to chase, compete, compare, and cling, this truth stands as a calming reminder that destiny is not a race and your blessings are not up for grabs. They are crafted uniquely for you. Tailored not just to your desires, but to your growth, your timing, and your soul's journey. When we understand this, we stop begging life to happen on our schedule and start trusting that what's truly meant for us will arrive. Whole, complete, and right on time. Imagine standing at a train station. Every few minutes, a train passes by. Some are flashy, some are fast, others seem perfect. But not every train is yours. Your ticket is only valid for the one that's destined for your journey. You can't force yourself onto a train not meant for you. It won't take you where you need to go. That's how life works too. People come and go. Opportunities present themselves and fade. But if something moves past you, if someone walks away, if an opportunity slips from your hands, maybe it was never your train to board. We often chase people, jobs, situations, or dreams because we fear we'll miss our one chance. But true blessings don't demand you to chase them relentlessly. They meet you where you are when you are truly ready. And when something is meant for you, it stays. It flows. It fits. Not perfectly, but peacefully. You don't have to constantly struggle to keep it. You don't have to twist yourself into someone you're not. You don't have to sacrifice your peace for its presence. Real alignment feels calm. It feels right. Think about relationships. How many times have you held on to someone simply because you were afraid to lose them, even when they didn't value you? You gave and gave, hoping they'd see your worth, but they left anyway, and it shattered you. You questioned yourself, wondering what you lacked. But then time passed and you met someone who saw you, who chose you without confusion, who loved you without conditions. That's when it hit you. What's meant for you doesn't need convincing. It recognizes you, and it stays. The same truth applies in your career or your dreams. Maybe you prepared endlessly for a job interview, one that seemed perfect. You gave it your best, but someone else got the role. At that moment, it felt like failure. But a few months later, another opportunity arrived. One that matched not just your skills, but your passion. One that allowed you to grow and lead in ways you never imagined. That's not coincidence, that's divine design. Life has a way of redirecting you from what you thought you wanted to what you truly need. And in the end, what's meant for you will find you, even if it takes a longer route. It's hard though, because patience isn't easy. Waiting without knowing when, how or whether something will happen takes strength. It takes trust. But that's where your faith grows strongest. When you stop clinging to outcomes and start believing that what belongs to you is already making its way toward you. You just can't see it yet. The roots are growing beneath the soil. The stars are aligning in the sky. And when the moment is right, it will all make sense. Have you ever tried holding water in your hands? The tighter you grip, the faster it slips through your fingers. But if you relax your palms, it gently rests in your hand. That's how life works too. The more desperately we cling, the more we push things away. But when we trust, when we let go of control and allow space for life to move naturally, things begin to flow. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means making space for something better, something aligned, something meant. The truth is, life is not a competition. You are not behind. You're not missing out. You're not late. You're exactly where you're meant to be. And even when it feels like everyone else is moving ahead, finding love, success, purpose, remember that their path is not your path. Their timing is not your timing. The universe is not short on blessings. Someone else's gain is not your loss. You're not waiting in line for leftovers. You're preparing your soul for something custom made for you. So take a deep breath. Relax into your journey. Say no to what drains you. Stop chasing what doesn't nourish you. And release the fear that your life is passing you by. Because what is truly meant for you cannot miss you. Not by accident, not by timing, and not because of someone else. It is written in your destiny. And when you are ready, when you've learned, healed, grown, and aligned, it will arrive. Not rushed, not forced, but divinely placed in your path. And when it comes, you won't have to ask if it's right. Your heart will know. Your soul will recognize it. And you'll smile with the quiet knowing, this was always meant for me.